When people think about money, they imagine paper, coins, numbers on a screen, gold in a vault. They chase after these things as if that's where wealth begins. But the truth is, before money ever existed in your hands, it existed in your head. Your mind is the printing press, and the ink is your belief. Belief is the only currency that has the power to multiply itself without machines, without factories, without investors. If you believe small, you print small. If you believe big, you print big. That's why two people can start at the exact same place with the same resources, and one becomes wealthy while the other stays stuck. The difference is not luck. It's not inheritance. It's not even connections. The difference is what each person believes is possible for them. Think about this. 100 years ago, someone believed that human beings could fly. They had no plane, no blueprint, no proof. But the belief printed the possibility. The belief created the blueprint. The belief became the prototype. That belief turned into the Wright brothers' first flight. Today, we don't question whether we can fly. We complain if the Wi-Fi on the plane is slow. Why? Because belief has already paid the price. Belief has already printed the future. Now, here's the challenge. Most people are overdrawing their mental bank accounts because they keep writing checks of doubt. They believe they're not worthy. They believe they don't have enough education. They believe they don't have the right background. And belief pays out exactly what you deposit. If you deposit doubt, you withdraw delay. If you deposit fear, you withdraw failure. But if you deposit belief, even when you have nothing else, you will withdraw opportunity, growth, and doors opening that you didn't even know existed. The marketplace doesn't just pay you for what you do, it pays you for what you believe. You can work harder than everyone else and still earn less if you believe less. Belief is the lever that multiplies effort. That's why someone who truly believes in their value can walk into a room, charge 10 times more than someone else, and get it without blinking. Because the belief they carry is so strong that the world has no choice but to agree. Belief also has a frequency. It communicates before you open your mouth. You've seen it before. You meet someone, and without them saying a word, you can feel whether they believe in themselves or not. It's written all over their posture, their tone, their energy. The world pays attention to that frequency. The marketplace listens to that frequency. That's why you can't afford to carry disbelief inside of you. Every time you doubt, you lower your own value signal. Every time you choose belief, you raise it. And let me tell you something powerful. You don't have to start with a mountain of belief. You can start with a seed. A mustard seed of belief has enough potential to grow into a tree that produces fruit for generations. That small belief, when watered with action, when nurtured with vision, becomes unstoppable. The world has seen countless examples of men and women who started with nothing but belief. They didn't have money, they didn't have education, they didn't have connections. What they had was the conviction that something bigger was possible for them. And that conviction printed the money, the influence, the business, the empire. Belief is also contagious. When you believe deeply, you give others permission to believe too. That's why leaders are not followed because of their strategies, but because of their certainty. People are drawn to belief like plants are drawn to sunlight. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in your vision, if you believe in the value you bring, the world will rearrange itself to support you. And let's deal with this lie right now. Some people think belief is just positive thinking. It's not. Belief is not sitting around hoping things will work out. Belief is the internal agreement that says, this is already mine, it's already possible, it's already done. And when that agreement is signed in your mind, your actions follow, your words follow, your opportunities follow. Belief sets the terms and conditions of your reality. So if you want to change your income, you have to change your internal economy. If you want to change the numbers in your bank account, you have to change the numbers in your belief account. Wealth is printed in the mind before it's deposited in the bank. The question is, what currency are you printing right now? Are you printing lack or abundance, fear or faith, poverty or prosperity? Because whatever you print in your head will show up in your life with interest. This version sits around 700 words and flows like a stage keynote in Myron Golden's style. Do you want me to now expand keynote, no point two, in the same way about ideas as investments, so you can build a full multi-part speech series? You said, keynote 0.2, expanded into 700 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, here's the 700-word expansion of keynote 0.2. Your ideas are investments written in that powerful motivational keynote flow. No headings, no conclusion. When most people think about investments, they immediately picture money, stocks, bonds, real estate, or maybe a business deal. But the greatest investment you will ever hold in your hands doesn't come from a bank or a stock market. It comes from your own mind. Your ideas are investments. And if you treat them like the assets they are, they will pay dividends bigger than anything you can measure on a financial statement. An idea is the seed form of wealth. Every skyscraper was once an idea. Every billion-dollar company was once an idea. Every innovation that changed the world, from electricity to the internet, was once just an idea in somebody's head. That means the gap between poverty and prosperity is not just money. It is the recognition of the value of an idea. People who stay broke dismiss ideas. People who build wealth respect them, nurture them, and multiply them. But here's the tragedy. Most people spend their entire lives working for somebody else's idea. They punch the clock to help someone else's vision expand while ignoring the million-dollar concepts that cross their own minds daily. They say, that would never work. Someone else has already done that. I don't have the resources. And in that moment, they bankrupt their own potential. They trade their creative currency for a paycheck that will never match the return their ideas could have produced. You've got to learn to see your thoughts the way an investor sees opportunities. An investor doesn't invest in every single thing. They look for the right one, the one that has the potential to multiply. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts, but every now and then one of them shines a little brighter. That's not random. That's an investment opportunity knocking on your mental bank door. The question is, will you deposit it, protect it, and grow it, or will you discard it like loose change? Think about it. Every great entrepreneur didn't start with money. They started with an idea. They invested time, energy, creativity, and belief into that idea until the world had no choice but to pay attention. The idea became the business became the brand became the empire. And all of it started with an invisible asset that lived inside a human mind. Now let's talk about how ideas grow. If money is invested in a savings account, it grows slowly with interest. If it's invested in stocks, it grows faster with more risk. If it's invested in the right business, it multiplies exponentially. The same is true with ideas. Some ideas are slow growth, some are high risk, but some, when properly planted in the right soil of execution, can multiply beyond measure. That's why you can't afford to waste your ideas. You've got to test them, build them, protect them, and develop them until they produce a return. Your brain is the most valuable real estate on earth, and ideas are the tenants. Some tenants pay rent and some squat and drain resources. The ideas you entertain will determine the kind of return you get. If you fill your head with small ideas, you'll live a small life. If you fill your head with big ideas, you open the door to a big future. But remember, an idea is only valuable when you act on it. A thought without execution is just a dream, but a thought with execution becomes an investment. And here's the key: investments compound. That means the more you act on one idea, the more doors open for new ideas. Action multiplies imagination. One good idea leads to the next. One decision to execute leads to the next opportunity. Before you know it, you've created a portfolio of ideas producing income in multiple ways. That's how wealth is built, not from one stream, but from multiple investments of thought turned into reality. Most people undervalue themselves because they underestimate the power of their own mind. They think wealth is out there, when in truth, wealth is in here. The richest resources in the world are not the oil fields or the diamond mines. The richest resource is the human imagination. There are ideas in your head right now that could feed your family for generations if you would just take them seriously. You don't need permission. You don't need a guarantee. You don't even need perfect timing. What you need is the conviction to treat your ideas like the investments they are. Every time you honor an idea, you honor the possibility of wealth. Every time you ignore an idea, you delay your future. Your mind is sending you investment opportunities daily, but only the ones you act on will yield returns. That's why the most important investment account you will ever open is the one between your ears. This is around 700 words and keeps the keynote rhythm. Want me to roll out keynote no point threes? I'll let your words write checks in the same expanded style next, so you'll have a full 3-part sequence ready. You said keynote no point three expanded into 700 words. Don't add ending sentence. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, here's the 700 word expansion of keynote no three. Your words write checks in that same powerful keynote rhythm. No headings, no formal ending. Words are not just sounds you push out of your mouth. Words are not just letters strung together in a sentence. Words are spiritual currency. Every time you open your mouth, you are authorizing a transaction. Your words are either writing a check that will fund your future, or they are bouncing like a bad payment that locks you into lack. What comes out of your mouth has more power over your life than what goes into your pocket, because your mouth writes the checks that your life will be required to cash. Most people don't realize they are bankrupting themselves with the language they use every day. They say things like, I can't afford it. I'll never make it. This always happens to me. Nothing ever works out. Every one of those sentences is a check written to the Bank of Poverty, and the Bank of Poverty has no problem cashing those checks. It will pay you in disappointment, in missed opportunities, in cycles of struggle. But when you learn to shift your words, you shift your wealth. When you learn to guard your tongue, you begin to guard your treasure. Think about this. Everything created in this world began with words. Before there was light, there was a word that said, let there be light. Before there was a business, there was a conversation. Before there was a deal, there was a negotiation. Before there was a contract, there was a discussion. Words are the seed form of manifestation. If you want to change what you see, you have to change what you say. The tongue is like a pen, and every time you speak, you sign your future. The problem is that many people are signing contracts with struggle because they have not learned to master their mouth. They speak what they fear instead of what they desire. They declare what they lack instead of what they want. They announce problems instead of proclaiming possibilities. And because words have authority, they authorize those conditions to show up in their lives. Your words set the ceiling on your success. If you say you can only make a certain amount, you will only make that amount. If you say wealth is impossible, wealth will never visit your house. But when you start declaring that you are worthy of abundance, that opportunities are chasing you down, that resources are flowing to you, the world begins to rearrange itself to agree with your declaration. You are literally writing checks with your words that the universe is prepared to honor. You've seen it before. A child is told by their parents, you're smart, you're capable, you're gifted, and they grow up living into those words. Another child is told, you'll never amount to anything, and they spend their life battling that verbal contract. Same potential, different words. That's how powerful spoken language is. It programs the mind, it sets direction, it creates expectation, and expectation creates results. If you want to change your financial reality, start by changing your financial vocabulary. Stop saying, I'm broke. Stop saying, I can't afford it. Those words write checks that drain your destiny. Instead, say, I'm learning to manage money well. I'm attracting new opportunities. Wealth is flowing toward me. At first, it may feel strange, even fake, but understand, words are not about where you are. They are about where you are going. A check is always written for a future transaction. You don't write a check for money you already spent. You write a check to claim money you intend to use. The same is true with your words. You don't just describe your present, you prescribe your future. Words also have compound interest. What you say repeatedly grows stronger over time. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that belief compounds until it becomes a permanent reality. But if you keep telling yourself that you are capable, valuable, and destined for increase, that belief compounds into unshakable confidence, and confidence attracts compensation. Repetition turns words into wealth. And here's the key: words don't just shape your future, they shape your actions. When you declare something long enough, you start to believe it. When you believe it, you start to act in alignment with it. When you act in alignment, you begin to create it. That's why you can't afford to throw words around carelessly. Casual words create casualties in your destiny. Every word is either a deposit or a debt. Every sentence is either an asset or a liability. Every conversation is either moving you toward prosperity or pulling you back into poverty. The wealthiest people understand this. They guard their vocabulary like they guard their investments. They don't allow negative speech to come out of their mouth because they know every word is an order form to the future. They know that their words are checks waiting to clear, and they write those checks with intentionality, with precision, with expectation. Would you like me to now expand Keynote No. 4? Your mindset determines your market value in the same 700-word Keynote style, so you'll have the sequence growing step by step. You said Keynote No. 4 expanded into 700 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, here's the 700-word expansion of Keynote No. 40. Your mindset determines your market value. Written the same energetic Keynote style. No headings. No ending sentences. Two people can walk into the same room, breathe the same air, see the same economy, and even hold the same skill set. Yet one of them will earn a paycheck that barely covers survival, while the other commands income that creates freedom. The difference is not talent. It's not education. It's not even experience. The difference is mindset. Your mindset is the invisible price tag that the world reads before it decides how much to pay you. Your market value is not determined by the job market. It's determined by the thought market happening inside your own head. Most people underestimate this truth. They think the world pays them based on hours, on effort, on sweat, on grind. But if it were only about effort, the hardest workers on the planet would be the wealthiest people on the planet. If it were only about time, the people working double shifts would all be millionaires. But it's not effort alone that sets value. It's the way you think about what your effort is worth. If you believe your value is low, the world agrees and pays you low. If you believe your value is high, the world agrees and pays you high. Mindset is the lens through which you interpret your abilities. One person says, I just do this little thing. Another person with the exact same skill says, I solve problems that make people's lives easier, faster, and better. Same skill, different mindset. One gets paid peanuts, the other gets paid premium. The mindset wrapped around your ability is what multiplies or minimizes your market value. Think about an artist. There are painters who sell their work on street corners for $20 a piece, and there are painters who sell their work in galleries for $20,000. The difference is not always talent. The difference is mindset. One says, I'm just trying to make a few sales. The other says, this is a masterpiece worthy of investment, and people pay accordingly because the marketplace doesn't just buy your product, it buys your perception. Your mindset also determines the way you package yourself. If you think you're average, you present yourself average. If you think you're extraordinary, you present yourself extraordinary. Confidence, certainty, posture, language, all of it flows out of the way you think about you. And here's the truth: people don't pay for average, they pay for extraordinary. People don't pay for common, they pay for uncommon. People don't pay for replaceable, they pay for rare. That's why the richest thing you can ever shift is not your job, not your business, not your industry, but your mindset. Market value is created in the mind before it's measured in the bank. If you want to raise your income, You've got to raise your identity. You've got to stop seeing yourself as a commodity and start seeing yourself as a category of one. The moment you decide that what you bring is unique, the world begins to recognize that uniqueness. But if you keep thinking small, if you keep labeling yourself as ordinary, then you hand the world permission to undervalue you. And here's another reality. The market does not pay you for what you do. It pays you for the problems you solve. But your ability to solve bigger problems is directly tied to your mindset. A small mindset looks at a problem and says, that's too big for me. A wealthy mindset looks at the same problem and says, that's my opportunity. Same problem, two different mindsets, two different paydays. The one who embraces the problem gets the profit. The one who runs from it stays stuck. You attract what you think you deserve. If you believe you deserve a little, life gives you a little. If you believe you deserve a lot, life gives you a lot. That's not magic, it's mindset, because belief directs behavior. If you believe your time is cheap, you will spend it on things that produce little. If you believe your time is valuable, you will invest it in things that multiply. Your mindset dictates the decisions you make, and those decisions dictate the checks you collect. Mindset is not just positive thinking. It's not about empty affirmations. It's about reprogramming the way you interpret value. It's about raising the floor of what you are willing to accept and raising the ceiling of what you are willing to expect. It's about saying, I will no longer accept crumbs when I was designed for the table. When you set that internal standard, the external world rises to meet it. Your mindset creates an atmosphere that either repels wealth or attracts it. People can sense it when you believe in yourself. They can sense it when you know your worth. They can sense it when you walk into a room with certainty that your presence matters. That certainty is magnetic. It draws opportunities. It draws contracts, it draws resources, it draws people who are ready to invest in you. And none of it starts with the world deciding your value. It starts with you deciding your value first. Would you like me to move on and expand Keynote No. 5, your vision's the vault, into the same 700-word keynote style? You said Keynote No. 5, expand it into 700 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, here's the 700-word expansion of Keynote No. 5, your vision is the vault. Written in that same flowing keynote style, no headings, no conclusion, money doesn't follow need, money follows vision. That's why two people can be equally desperate, equally broke, equally tired, but one of them attracts resources while the other struggles. The difference is not who needs it more, the difference is who sees it clearer. Vision is the vault that stores the wealth of your future. If you can't see beyond your present will always trap you. But the moment you create a clear picture of where you are going, you build a vault big enough to hold the resources, relationships, and opportunities required to get there. Vision is more powerful than circumstance. Circumstance tells you where you are, but vision tells you where you're headed. Circumstance tells you what you lack. Vision tells you what's possible. Circumstance limits you to the facts. Vision introduces you to the future. The people who rise, the people who build, the people who expand are not the ones who had the best circumstances. They're the ones who held on to a vision so strong that circumstances had to bow down to it. When you have no vision, you live like a wanderer. You spend your time moving but never progressing. You work harder but never get further, because without vision, your effort has no aim. It's like shooting arrows in the dark. But when you have vision, every move you make has intention. Every step has alignment. Every decision has direction. Vision is what keeps you from wasting your life on distractions that don't pay dividends. Vision is also magnetic. It pulls people, money, and opportunities toward you. People are drawn to those who can see what others cannot. Investors don't put their money into what is. They put their money into what could be. Teams don't follow leaders because of where they are. They follow because of where they're going. And the clearer the vision, the stronger the magnet. The reason some people struggle to get others on board is not because they lack talent, it's because they lack clarity. The clearer your vision, the easier it is for people to buy in. But here's what you need to know. Vision requires imagination, but it also requires discipline. Anybody can daydream, but vision is not daydreaming. Vision is a focused picture of the future that guides your present. It is a mental vault where you store the blueprint of your destiny. And just like a vault, it must be locked against doubt, fear, and negativity. Too many people share their vision with the wrong audience, and then they wonder why their dreams feel robbed. You can't share $1 million vision with a $1 mindset and expect them to understand. Protect your vault. Not everyone is qualified to handle what you see. The size of your vision determines the size of your provision. If your vision is small, your provision will be small. If your vision is big, your provision will expand to match it. Life has a way of supplying what is necessary to fulfill what is seen. That's why you can't afford to think small. Small vision attracts small opportunities. Big vision attracts big opportunities. And the truth is, it takes no more energy to create a big vision than it does to create a small one. The only difference is the courage to believe in more. Vision also gives you resilience. When obstacles come, vision reminds you of the destination. Without vision, obstacles look like walls. With vision, obstacles look like detours. Without vision, setbacks feel permanent. With vision, setbacks feel temporary. Vision allows you to endure the struggle because you know the struggle is not the story, it's just a chapter. People without vision quit when it gets hard. People with vision keep moving because they know what's waiting on the other side. And here's the power of vision. It allows you to borrow from your future to fund your present. When you can see it before you have it, you start to act like it's already yours. You make decisions from that future place. You carry yourself like that future person. You build habits that match that future lifestyle. And eventually, your present begins to catch up with the picture you've been holding in your mind. Vision is time travel for your destiny. It lets you live in tomorrow while working in today. Vision does not require you to know every step. It only requires you to see the destination. The details unfold along the way. Too many people delay because they want a perfect map before they move. But vision doesn't give you a map. It gives you a compass. It points you in the right direction and says, walk. And as you walk, the path reveals itself. The resources you thought you didn't have show up. The people you thought you needed appear. The skills you thought were missing develop. The world rearranges itself around the clarity of your vision. Would you like me to move on and expand Keynote and 6 other keys into the same 700-word Keynote style? You said Keynote 0.6, expand it into 700 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said, here's the 700-word expansion of Keynote 0.6. Your decisions are the keys, delivered in that motivational Keynote rhythm. No headings, no conclusion. A vault full of treasure is worthless if you don't have the key to open it. Potential locked away with no access is just as painful as having no potential at all. And when it comes to unlocking the wealth and power of your mind, the keys are your decisions. Every choice you make is a key that either opens the door to abundance or keeps the vault of opportunity sealed shut. Decisions are not just actions, they are declarations. Every time you decide, you declare what kind of life you are authorizing yourself to live. Most people underestimate the power of decisions because they confuse decisions with desires. They say they want more money. They say they want more success. They say they want more freedom, but wanting is not deciding. A decision is final. It is binding. It is absolute. A decision says, this is what I will do no matter what it costs, no matter how long it takes, no matter what I have to overcome. Wanting leaves the door open. Deciding closes the door on every other option. A decision is a key that locks you into your destiny and locks out every distraction. Think about the people you admire who have built wealth, influence, and legacy. They did not get there because of luck or chance. They got there because of a series of decisions that set them apart. A decision to pursue when others quit. A decision to believe when others doubted. A decision to act when others hesitated. Every breakthrough is the byproduct of a bold decision. Every fortune is the compound interest of decisive action. And here's the truth. Indecision is still a decision, and it's the most expensive one you can make. Indecision robs you of time, and time is the only asset you cannot replace. Every day you delay a decision, you pay interest in the form of wasted opportunities, missed connections, and delayed progress. Wealth loves speed, but speed requires decision. Some of the greatest opportunities of your life will not come with a warning. They will show up, knock on your door, and ask you to decide right now. And if you hesitate too long, the opportunity will pass to someone else who is bold enough to say yes. Decisions also shape identity. Every time you decide, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. The person who decides to save money instead of spending recklessly is casting a vote for wealth. The person who decides to read instead of scrolling endlessly is casting a vote for wisdom. The person who decides to take action instead of procrastinating is casting a vote for success. Your life is not just shaped by the big decisions, it is shaped by the small ones repeated daily. The little keys you turn consistently open the biggest vaults over time. And don't miss this, the quality of your decisions is determined by the clarity of your vision. If you don't know where you are going, every option looks attractive and every distraction feels important. But when your vision is clear, decisions become simple. Not always easy, but simple. The choice is cleared if it takes you closer to the vision, it's a yes. If it pulls you away from the vision, it's a no. Clarity in vision creates power in decision. Most people fear making decisions because they fear being wrong. But indecision is worse than a wrong decision. A wrong decision at least gives you feedback. It teaches you. It moves you forward. Indecision keeps you stuck, paralyzed, trapped in the same place. Progress requires mistakes, but mistakes require movement, and movement requires decision. The only way to guarantee failure is to refuse to decide. There is also a connection between decision and authority. When you make a decision, you take authority over your life. When you refuse to decide, you surrender authority to circumstances, to other people, to luck, to chance. Decisions are what separate leaders from followers, builders from dreamers, creators from consumers. Leaders don't wait for perfect conditions to decide. They decide and then create the conditions. They understand that the key doesn't work while it's sitting in their pocket. It only works when you turn it. Every decision is a seed, and seeds don't look like much at first. But when planted, watered, and nurtured, they grow into something far bigger than the original choice. A small decision today to believe in yourself, to act on your idea, to protect your vision, can grow into a tree that produces fruit for generations. The question is never whether you have the ability. The question is whether you will decide.